Jim Clark, arguably the greatest ever racing driver to grace the motorsporting world. To this day, he still holds several unbroken records. He truly is still too fast to stand still.
I remember my dad talking about Jim Clark going to various motorsport meetings and the Grand Prix. It wasn't even Formula One back then, really. It was Grand Prix racing, and it isn't the sort of, multi-million-dollar worldwide industry that it is nowadays. It was quite a sort of niche enthusiast sport. You could just wander around the paddock and go into the pit garages. And there was one occasion where my dad was wandering around, I think it was at Brands Hatch. He was looking at the Lotus pit and watching the mechanics, and Jim Clark appeared from the back of the garage and climbed into the Lotus Grand Prix car. My dad was standing behind it when Jim Clark fired us up. And he said with the two big megaphone exhausts at the back, he was nearly blown off his feet by the sheer power coming out of the exhaust.
How would you compare this to the cars that were used in the 60s?
I think a Formula One car in the 60s would have had a better power to weight ratio.
This isn't too far off, to be honest.
What's the top speed that it can go?
According to Caterham, 136. But I wouldn't like to drive it at that sort of speed. No, I did have it at 125 at Knock Hill.
Yeah.
Scottish photographer who used to cover the Grand Prix called Graham Gall. He'd often chat to Jim during the race meetings, and Jim would find out where he was positioned on the circuit. Jim used to deliberately mess up his photographs by putting his two fingers up as he went past. And my dad got married on the 2nd of April 1968. Unfortunately, during their honeymoon, Jim was killed at Hockenheim in a Formula 2 accident. My dad said that it completely ruined his honeymoon. A lot of the other drivers were completely shocked by Jim Clark's death, because they thought if a driver of the calibre of Jim Clark can be killed, then it can happen to any of us. It says on the grave, Jim Clark, farmer and 2 times Grand Prix world champion, winner of the Indianapolis 500. Yes.
Beating the Americans at their own game.
That's it.
As you were saying with Jackie Stewart, it sort of championed the protection of drivers. Would you say that would be part of Jim Clark's legacy as well, that look, nobody is invincible?
Yeah, indeed.
Thanks for watching. That was still too fast to stand still. Yeah.
Cheers.